Welcome friends to this new video about the chaser. As you can see, it hasn't moved at all since the previous video, which cut off briefly. Rest assured, it didn't catch fire. Still, I really thought it was going to happen. The problem has been diagnosed. Actually, it wasn't that serious, but still. With all the adrenaline, you saw I wasn't focused on the framing when I started. I was pretty stressed, I did the whole turbo part myself. Thibaut handled the camshaft part. Well, he's an expert. It's fine. He's a mechanic. That's his job. Me, it's not my job. So, handling the whole turbo side, where there are a lot of expensive parts, it made me a bit nervous. Fortunately, it still started up well. But there was that thick white smoke that really stressed me out. And actually, it was at the turbo, a gasket that was probably not tightened properly or was defective. We'll see it together in the video. I think it might have been about one turn too loose. And what happened was that water was leaking onto the manifold, which was starting to get really hot, which makes sense. And that's what caused that thick white smoke. So let's take a look at it together this morning. I'm going to take my time. I'll take everything apart calmly with you. The good thing is, in the meantime, I received my oil return. You remember there was that plastic hose that I had wrapped in yellow heat wrap? That's the oil return. It's only temporary to get started. It was running through the manifold, but I didn't like it touching the manifold. Eventually something would happen, and with oil, that's not ideal. So now it's good. I've received my oil return. You'll see it's much safer because it's metal. And we'll also take advantage of the fact that we're going to remove the turbo to access this gasket. We'll use the opportunity to install it, and then we'll do a second start. And if everything goes well, we'll do the first warm-up. We'll check everything to make sure it's all good. After that, we'll call Charles to map it, and we'll do the first acceleration runs. So here's the part I received. I decided to make my oil return line with this, because as you saw, the hose goes through the exhaust manifold, and I really didn't like that, because I thought, there's a chance it could melt. Whereas with this, I have, I think 14 or 21 centimeters, I can't remember, I need to measure, of rigid metal hoses that can be shaped. By the way, look, you can kind of give it whatever shape you want, so that's the big advantage. And it ends in -10, so I'm going to connect a -10 fitting to it. I'll run the hose all the way to the oil return on the engine, and then I add this little 45-degree angle -10 fitting as well. Basically, well, look, here we have the old one right next to it. Basically, to remake this kind of system, but in a more modern version. I could have almost just redone it like this. And no, it's not the same diameter. No, I couldn't have redone it like that. But anyway, that's today's mission. Take apart the upper part of the turbo again and also tighten the gasket that's leaking from above. Sorry, a friend came to talk to me. So I took apart the turbo in the meantime. I didn't film it. But basically, I just removed my V-band clamp. And after that, this comes off. So the gasket that's giving us trouble is right here. I'll show you. There you go. So the problem comes from this copper gasket on the right here that's probably leaking. So we're going to remove the fitting to tighten everything up. And you can really tell. I just noticed it. Look at all the coolant that's there and has dripped onto the manifold. And now, I also have access to my oil return line, which is right here, and we're simply going to replace it. Okay, that's it. I removed my oil return line. The gasket will stay in place. There's no problem with it. I just have one issue. So, this is the new oil return line. And the issue, well, it won't surprise you. Let me show you like this. I have to drill it again. Actually, the spacer doesn't fit. The holes don't line up like this. The oil return line screws are too far apart, so I'll elongate the holes. This way, I can easily put my little screws back in later. Sorry for the terrible framing. I'll redo this, fix it, and then put my turbo back on. Not sure if you'll be able to see it clearly. But that's it. I've made my little marks right here, just to know where I need to enlarge the holes. And now I'm going to grab the little tools over there, the machine to enlarge the small holes. And that'll be good. I'm taking my time, but I want it to be super clean, really well done. All right, it's done. The turbo, hoses, and piping are back in place and tightened. The orientation is reset, so it's better now. The oil return goes here and the water's here. I put 2 small pieces of heat wrap there on the manifold so it doesn't rub against it. So now I'm going to make my little piece of AN10 hose to go in place of that, just underneath, over there. Basically, it's for the return line, and after that, it's good. We'll restart. Well, luckily, Thibaut came to take a look. Actually, the heat wrap I had put on the manifold, he told me that it wasn't right at all. I thought it could be attached to a manifold. So, I wrapped it around the oil return hose instead of on the manifold. You won't hear it, but luckily he told me. Like I always say, this isn't my job. All right, it's done. the whole oil return is finished. So basically, I put the AN10 fitting here with an elbow that goes up and connects to the small fitting I showed you earlier. So now it should be good. Everything is redone. We should be okay. So we're going to try the second start. Well, it should be good now. Thibaut is going to start it, and we'll see if anything happens. Hold on, you never know.
Wow.
Whenever you're ready. I'm preheating the glow plugs. Yeah, go ahead, preheat the glow plugs. Yeah, okay. For now, it looks fine. I don't see anything concerning, and I always like to have this with me. Well, everything looks okay. I don't think there's any leak anywhere. There's still a little bit of smoke, but that must be what's left on the manifold. Ah, it's smoking. There's a little bit of smoke.
What?
Yeah, shut it off. It's still leaking. No, man, it's still pouring out from the seal. I don't know what you did, but that's not possible. I'm fed up with this. It's still leaking from the seal. Just take off the compressor housing and we'll fix it. But that's not possible. It's always the same one. It's always the same side. It's always the same problems. There's just that to fix, and then it's good. But damn, I just did it. We can go drifting after. It's the original seal that's messed up. It's not possible. This thing is a pain in the ass. I don't get it. A United driver, learn how to take apart your turbo 10 times. My favorite pastime. All right, that's it. I took the turbo apart again. Except this time, I took off the fitting completely with the seal. And that's it. I figured out why it was leaking. It wasn't my fault. Let me get in the light. Look at the seal. It was completely crushed from the start. So that reassures me. It wasn't necessarily my fault or anything. And then I tried to tighten it. And again, I did the right thing. I said, you know what? I'll change the seal. That's it. I'm putting in a new seal. And maybe now we'll finally be able to start it once and for all. I put the turbo back on. Normally, everything's good now. I saw where the leak was coming from. I changed the gasket. So now, technically, it starts. It heats up, and there's no problem. Let's take a look. Are you ready? It still smells like waters. For now, it looks good. It looks good now. There, the dumb valve isn't good. You accelerate a little and it opens. Okay. It's still smoking. It must be the residue everywhere, but it's smoking much less now and the leak's gone. That's good. I'll check the spring on my dump valve because it stays open when accelerating. Everything seems fine, just still a mess, so there's some smoke.
Anyway, the gasket that was leaking isn't leaking anymore. Yeah, of course, everything is soaked everywhere, but everything looks good. There's no leak anywhere. At least I don't see anything.
So now, what do I have left to do? The intake piping, because obviously we can't drive like this. It's completely stupid. Some people do it, but I don't approve of it at all. So, I'm going to make my intake piping. I'm going to change the spring on the dump valve. But overall, it's very stressful, but it seems to be okay. For now, everything is good. Well, I was changing the spring on my dump valve, which is here. So, I put in a stronger spring because I just realized that actually, when I accelerate slightly, it wouldn't stay closed. It would open. For your information, this dump valve you see here, marked Made in USA from the brand. I won't pronounce it because it's a fake. And it's the only Chinese part I put on the whole car. And as it turns out, life has a funny way of working out. It's crap. There you go, it's junk. When I installed it, there was no problem. When I tried to remove it, here's the clamp. The clamp broke and the nut can't be unscrewed, but it's not a big deal. Thibaut had a spare he wanted for his car, so I grabbed his clamp, which is right here. It broke again. Same thing. So we just welded something together quickly, just so I could put the dump valve on and see if the spring is good, and at least it stays closed while we accelerate, just for the tests. Tonight, when I get home, I'll order 2 from a big brand. I tried to save $100 by buying some crap for $30 on AliExpress. Well, there you go, I'm screwed. Bottom line, don't do it. Okay, right now the car is warming up quietly. The sound is completely different now. Well, the sound is completely different. The exhaust sounds totally different. Hear it at idle now. It's much more growly. Before, it really had that distinctive 1JZ sound. Now, there's really something growling. It's awesome. It's nothing like before. It's incredible. Well, now it looks pretty good. I think we can call Charles now. It's confirmed everything is fine. The car has run for 15 minutes with no problems. I'll show you something funny. We haven't turned it off since earlier. There's absolutely no heat, and I'm really afraid of heat coming from this damn sock. So, the Funk brand, you can go for it with your eyes closed, guys. There's no problem, it's not Chinese. The car's off and everything's fine. We double-checked, put it on the lift, and confirmed no problems underneath. Inside the engine bay, everything is okay. So, we were just bothered by a small gasket, unfortunately, a coolant seal on the turbo that was already installed on the turbo. Always check turbos when you receive them. Make sure the gaskets are in good shape, since it took me half a day to find the source of the problem. I think they probably used a gasket kit and installed it on there. Nothing was actually faulty. These things happen, but it could have been worse. I'd rather that than an impeller problem. But still, always check, even straight out of the box, that everything's tightened properly, the gaskets and everything. That way, at least, you won't have any trouble. The next step for her, I'm going to start by cleaning up all the mess I've made over the last 3 days. And we're going to leave her alone. So I'm going to call Charles now to tell him she's his. He can do whatever he wants with her. So honestly, I'm really happy right now. I'd really like him to come with the new dome valve, so I'll order it now since I have my laptop. After that, everything's set. See you when Charles arrives. There we go, I've got it, which will allow me to install my real dome valve. It's a few days later. So I went back to see Hugo at Speedwork, so he could remove the flange I'd asked him to weld for me, and put on the compatible flange for my new dome valve. I'll show you which dome valve I got. I bought a Grady, and the latest one too. I treated myself. It's expensive, I'm not going to lie to you. It looks like this. Be careful, there are fake ones, but this one is real. I got it from a reliable website, so don't worry. So, the latest Grady dome valve, actually, which is mainly adjustable without tools and without changing the spring, thanks to a small knob, as you can see here, that you adjust by hand. Well, with this one, no, it's not easy because I'm holding it at the same time. This will allow me to adjust the stiffness of my spring, so we're going to attach it on like this. The advantage is also the head. You can rotate it 360 degrees. I'll assemble this, attach the gasket, reinstall it on the car, and put it back inside. The downpipe here as well, same thing. I brought it in to have it resurfaced because there was a small leak in the back. Hugo had warned me about that. He said I might need to bring it back during assembly and check for leaks. He'd resurface it if needed. There was a leak, so we quickly touched it up. I'm now reinstalling and adjusting my new dump valve. I'm reinstalling my downpipe and reattaching my screamer pipe, which I removed to take off the downpipe. Ready. Now we just need to wait for Charles, who's coming in a few days, to map it, so we can do the first acceleration in this video. It's done and in place. Sorry, it's windy today. I'll put a zip tie here to hold the hose. I positioned it like this. This dump valve is crazy, I'm not gonna lie. So, you see, you can adjust your spring like this. And most importantly, the head is adjustable without any tools, actually. It's designed that way on purpose. You just grab it and turn it wherever you want, depending on how your hose is routed. All right, now I'm putting the downpipe back on. Well, guys, I wasn't aware. But Charles showed up at the garage to bring a part for a Mini. Nothing to do with this. And then he said to me, come on, I have my laptop. Let's quickly check the idle valve. And now, he just told me, let's go for a drive. So, this might be the first drive where we actually accelerate in it. For now, I'm happy since everything seems to be going well. There aren't any strange noises or anything. On the other hand, the sound of the car is absolutely nothing like it used to be. It's much more metallic, much more rock. And that's the camshafts, obviously. And also the fact that they're also a bit decatted. Let's try accelerating for the first time. at 1 bar. It's okay. I barely pressed. I was like not even halfway down, you know? Okay, all right. Oh, the external wastegate is really loud. Oh, damn, that's it. The adrenaline is starting to kick in now. Anyway, that tiny bit of acceleration in second gear was sensational. Damn, it really feels like it's pulling. Oh. Oh, I was only at half pedal there. I was only at half pedal. Oh, it seems to be working. Damn it. It seems to be working. So, let me explain. In this sequence, you'll see the car hit boost cut a few times. That basically means it reached the limit we set in the safety map. In other words, a pressure limit you can't exceed. We moved this safety up to 1.3 bar. And technically, with the original wastegate spring, it wasn't supposed to go over 1 bar. The issue was that it kept hitting the safety limit. So, obviously, there's a problem. Cut. Ah, yes, it cuts off right away there. Well, there's a real problem here. Well, there's a little problem. Why was it building so much pressure? Because actually, I have a leak in my wastegate circuit, sorry. When we put the circuit under vacuum, the vacuum doesn't hold, it drops. So, there's a leak somewhere. Currently, we're finishing my idle adjustment. After that, I'll put it back on the lift and check again for the source. I definitely have a leak, at least at the actuator. I never expected it to be this complicated. I'll try to reposition you in the simplest way for me, even though it's still very complex. Because as you see me right now, I've only had 2 hours of sleep. And we're less than 24 hours away from mapping the chaser. It's not over yet, but I've really gone through a lot of boost problems. I'll try to explain it to you as best as I can. As you saw earlier, I installed the max solenoid, which is right here, to manage my turbo pressure. Charles stopped by the garage and saw that I was working on the car. He said, "Since you have the new idle valve, let's map it now while I'm here. That'll save time on Wednesday when he comes to tune the car." He mapped it and told me, with a wicked look, "Come on, let's go for a little drive." So I told him, obviously, I'm not going to say no. If you're even a little observant, you noticed that during that little drive, there was a lot of jerking, because the boost pressure was getting out of control. After that, we decided to bypass the boost solenoid. I even ended up calling some YouTube friends. I was so desperate, like Ovid from Ultimate Making, who told me, "Man, bypass your boost solenoid." So up to that point, I thought, come on, everyone wants me to do this, I'll do it. I bypassed it. Except that when I bypassed it, what I did was disconnect the hoses from the solenoid, and I just put a T to connect them together, stupidly. Because for me, that's how you bypass something, actually. Except, unfortunately, in the world of solenoids, that's not how it works. And that day, Charles was there. The problem is, maybe he thought I knew. So he didn't check. Neither did Tebow, by the way, or anyone else. So we did another test like that. All right, guys, this is the last chance. Either it works now, or it doesn't. And I'm gonna switch to electric. We'll see it right away in second gear.
Ça cut.
It cuts. And it boost cuts again. Makes sense, you might say. Because for those like me who don't know how a solenoid and a wastegate system works, basically the only thing I did by bypassing the solenoid and connecting the two solenoid hoses together. So, as a result, I sent pressure to the top of the wastegate and to the bottom. So basically, I sent back pressure to the top and back pressure to the bottom, just to make it simple for you. So, of course, the wastegate couldn't open. After that, we thought about it and realized that the setup wasn't right. So I bypassed it, but in the correct way. That means I connected the hose that goes from my turbo, here, directly to the bottom of the wastegate. And the hose on top, I put a screw on it. Like this one you see here, I'll show you the result. Well, that's surprising. It's still acting up. Which makes sense since the screw was preventing air from escaping from the top of the wastegate. Since air can't be compressed, there was a problem. The wastegate wasn't opening. After that, we went back to the garage again. And then Tib told me, "No, man, you have to remove the screw that's on top." So now I'll show you the right hose. It's this one. This one no longer has a screw. So normally, if I send air to the bottom of my wastegate, and I release the top to let the air out, normally it should work. Because in the meantime, maybe I didn't tell you, but I removed the 1 bar spring from my wastegate, and I put in a 0.8 spring. And every time, I kept hitting the 1 bar, 1.2 bar limit. Normally, I'm not supposed to go over 0.8, according to the spec sheet that came with the Precision Turbo wastegate. It's hard for me to explain this since I'm not an expert, so I'll try to use the right words and try to explain things as someone who, like me, is watching the video and isn't an expert mechanic or anything like that. So, those who are experts in turbos and boost, this will make sense to you right away. I had asked Charles to set a safety limit in my tune at 1 bar. Technically, it's unreachable if I put a 0.8 spring in my wastegate, but it was reached in a fraction of a second on the very first acceleration. It's a real pain in the ass, huh? Really? So then I told myself, there's a problem. Thibaut was with me and told me, yeah, but sometimes there can be spikes and all, and then it goes back down. So it's possible that you hit or at least brushed the safety, and that doesn't give the wastegate time to go back down. I called Charles back. I told him, can you raise the safety limit to 1.2 bar for me? So then he explained it to me. I did it myself. I set it to 1.2 bar and I went to try it out. At that point, it really started to get on my nerves. I thought to myself, there's still a 400-gram difference between the spring and the safety. I get that there can be spikes, but 400 grams, that's not just spikes anymore. Those are mountains at that point. So I went back home. Just to be sure, that was last night. I didn't know what to do anymore, so I started calling some friends. I called Teddy, who explained a few details to me that I didn't know. I called Mathieu, a friend of mine who has a 1,000 horsepower Supra, who actually helped me a lot back when I had my Supra. And I didn't know much about turbos, which is still more or less the case. I'm learning as time goes on. Now, I can tell you that when it comes to wastegates, I understand how they work. No problem. I studied everything last night. As you see me now, I've only had 2 hours of sleep. That's because I went to bed late, and in the middle of the night, I actually woke up and just couldn't get back to sleep. So I waited for it to pass, but I couldn't fall asleep again. So right now, I've only had 2 hours of sleep. It was on my mind so much that I didn't sleep at all last night. And I found out on some US Supra forums, and then confirmed it with my buddies, that when you put a 0.8 spring in a wastegate, it will never actually give you 800 grams of pressure. That's good, because that's what was written on the chart, after all. That means there are Americans who figured out on 2JZ Supras that when you want 10 psi actually, you need to put in a 6 psi spring. Basically, they were saying you need to put in a spring that's 60% of the boost you want. So, basically, 6 psi representing 60% of 10 gives you 10. So, I prefer to say it the other way around. Let's rather say you need to put in a spring that's 40% lower than what you want. So, if I want 1 bar, I need to put in a 600-gram spring. That's super logical, thanks. This could have gone on for a long time otherwise. So this morning I showed up at the garage with 2 solutions. According to my calculations, the car with the 0.8 spring should hit and stabilize at 1.30 bar. My last safety was set at 1.20 bar, so it makes sense that I was blowing past it. So solution 1 would be to move the safety to 1.5 bar, go for a test run, and see what happens. Now what I'm going to do is put it on the lift and see if I can get the wastegate off without taking everything apart. The downpipe, the wire, all that. Because right now, I'm exhausted. If it's possible, I'll put a 600-gram spring in it. That way, I should normally hit 1 bar steady. If it's not possible, I'll do the test at 1.3 bar. Anyway, I only have 1 run. I'll wait for Charles tomorrow so we can finish mapping it. Right now, Chaser's on the lift. Now, I'm going to show you what I call life's little pleasures. So, here we are in front of the famous panel I was telling you about, with the springs right here. So, let me show you. We're set up at 0.8. So I have the yellow and the green inside the wastegate. What I want is to set it here at 0.6. So just with the green, so I just need to remove the yellow. Except that here, 0.83 is what I thought I had and what I wanted. But that's not actually the case at all, so it's not good at all. And it doesn't take into account, these are calculations with atmospheric pressure subtracted. Basically, it's not 1.8, it's really 800 grams. That's what's left to do. So I take it apart, I remove the yellow, and I set it to 0.6, which should normally give me about 1 bar constantly. We'll see anyway with the computer next to it. Thanks, Turbo Precision, for lacking precision. I didn't film the steps. It was for your viewing and listening comfort. The wastegate now only has the green spring and no longer the yellow spring, which is now here. So we should be at 0.6 on paper and at 1 bar in reality. I'll meet you in the car. Last try after this, I give up. That's it, the wastegate is back on. We're doing the last try before deciding whether we burn it or not. But normally, if it doesn't work now, it means there's really a big problem somewhere else. Are you ready? Verdict? He said it could be anywhere from 3 to 1,000. How did we take it? She won't burn tonight. People will think it's the middle of summer with the pine trees, a bit of sweat on our foreheads, the sun on our skin, and everything. No, it's the end of October. Everything's fine, it's normal. So we're back in the garage, and right now I'm basically finishing up the preparations on the engine. There's Charles in the back of the Yukon working on some cables. And I'm going to show you what I'm finishing up on the engine. What's changed since last time. So this morning, I made my intake duct. So that's done. I got my new filter, which isn't tiny anymore. Now I have a 4-inch filter. Well, 100, I think that's about 4 inches anyway. With the tube I cut this morning, it's perfect. Everything is okay. Everything is tightened. Now I'm checking all the hoses here and there. I'm putting a bit of thermal insulation back on some of the hoses. And now we're going to connect the boost solenoid. Because last time, as you saw in the previous video, we were running fully mechanical at 1 bar. So with the spring we put inside the wastegate, now we're going to use the solenoid to increase that pressure. Charles is in the back. So, like I was saying, the Yukon over there. No, that's not my Cayenne. Look, he's getting ready. Hello, Charles. He's getting a whole mess of cables ready right now to install the oil pressure sensor, because we still need to connect the oil pressure sensor, which hasn't been done yet. So right now he's making the wiring harness. And at least we'll be able to add some safety features to it, because for me, that's probably the most important thing, that you add safety features to it. At least this way, if it detects a problem, the car will shut off. And honestly, this Yukon is like a real workshop. It's crazy. And once we've done that, we'll slowly start to see how it goes with increasing the pressure and everything else, and I'll let you handle it. You're the boss. Do whatever you want. So, a quick update on what we've just done. I redid the whole catch can circuit. I added some fittings everywhere because before it was kind of thrown together and I had done it temporarily. And now at least, I know that the whole catch can circuit, I won't have to come back to it. Then, I also had a small cable that ran under the manifold and went to the steering rack. I put on a heat shield like this one, which I need to check again. It's like this line that runs over the top. I'll redo it with custom aviation grade parts, since I don't like how it switches to a regular hose here. So I'm going to redo it completely with stainless steel braid and nitrile hose inside, so it can withstand the heat. At least that way, I won't have any more problems with that. What else did we do? We installed the oil pressure sensor. That's done, Charles is working on it. We have the wiring harness set up here, so it's completely temporary. Obviously, it can't stay on the radiator. Charles is currently soldering the wires to power it. We did the tests, it works. Now, we have the link that receives the engine pressure information, which is a good thing because we'll be able to monitor the engine's health, and most importantly, Charles will be able to set up safety measures. I think once that's done, we'll be able to start tweaking the engine management and see if we can now go beyond the limits. It's time. He's working on his computer again because we're making more changes. I don't know what he's doing or understand any of it. I just know it's stressful. I've been letting out little farts for a while now. That's a sign of what's coming.
Come on, go ahead, turn on the ignition, just the ignition.
I am Japanese. All the sequences you're about to see from now on were made with AI on a closed road in a foreign country, on a German highway with no speed limit, of course. Do not try this at home. Thank you.
It accelerates well, yeah.
It makes quite a sound.
Here, I'm the one telling it that I want it at a certain RPM, depending on the throttle position, so directly from your foot. I'm the one telling it I want you to be at a certain wastegate duty cycle. I'll tell it at a certain RPM and a certain TPS position, so from your pedal.
Yeah.
The throttle pedal. I want you to go get this boost, and to get this boost you need to have this Mac position. And it will be able to do what's called a spool assist. That means as long as we're not at the target, it will keep the Mac at 100%. And then, as soon as we get close to the target, it will go back to the table I gave it here, and it will also be able to regulate during the run. Alright, it will add or subtract a few percent so that we stay right on the boost target.
That's something it does all by itself.
There are a whole bunch of maps to set up so that this regulation works properly.
You provide all the information, and once it has it, it uses your data to manage itself. Basically, no, very
big.
Yes, that's it. I'm still a child.
I'm adjusting a PD controller. Yes, that's it. It's the basics. I can't make it any simpler. If your thing is poorly adjusted, it will oscillate around the target to reach its goal. If your PID is very well tuned, it will settle right on target smoothly.
Okay, like I had with boost controllers before when I had my Japanese cars that just had a boost controller. I had something like that. And basically I would adjust it and get a little...
Back then you had different knobs to tell it you wanted more intelligence.
I managed to stabilize the S14 like that.
That's what we do. That's how it's done around the world.
Alright. He set the safety to 1.6 bar. We'll leave it like that for now, and we'll work on it again on the dyno on Saturday. But for now, I think we've worked well enough for today. We got the basics done. Yeah, that's already good. Woo! I'm being guided, and physically, that's it. You can see it. It's starting to become something very serious. All right, I'll see you again on Saturday at Tube Auto. Yeah, well, no. Actually, we're not going to Tube because there was a problem, obviously. The dyno is in 2 days. Today's Thursday. I have an appointment on Saturday morning, and I'll show you what happened. I have a huge oil leak, and once again, it's dried up. Look at all the oil splatters here already. Here, that's my water pump, or at least the oil reservoir, maybe. There have been splatters all the way up here on the coolant reservoir. There have been splatters. We saw them on all the water supply hoses for the turbo, on the strut tower. You can't tell, but the intake pipe is unbelievably greasy. Look, there's even some up here. It really splattered everywhere. There's even, look, a little stain here. In short, it's a complete mess. It's everywhere, and yesterday it was really over the top. There was really oil everywhere, but I didn't film it for you because it was nighttime. Look, even on the fuse box, there's some, even though it's on the opposite side of the engine. So there are two possibilities. Either we're in trouble and it's the camshaft seals Tib put in, which aren't Toyota ones, and as a result are crappy. Or it's the camshaft bearing, where Tib thinks he might not have used enough sealant. I hope that's all, since then it would just mean taking it apart, reapplying sealant, and putting it back together. I'll remove my left valve cover to check it out, and we'll know more. I was about to remove the valve cover gasket when Benoit, a friend of Thibault's, and still a mechanic, showed up. He took a look, diagnosed it, told me to take it apart a bit, clean everything, and we'd check it out. And actually, he just found the problem. So we'll try to show you. So here, take a look. Right here. There we go. Yeah, so it probably comes from the valve cover gasket. Tib thinks maybe the gasket didn't seat properly. So I'm going to take off the valve cover gasket again as planned, and we'll check it directly. But if it's just the valve cover gasket, Honestly, I'm getting off easy. So you think it's coming from the bearing? Yeah.
It's coming from the bearing.
We're going to redo the bearing seal? Is it just me, or is there no sealant? No, that's done for. No, that's done for. Come on, explain your screw-up now.
You see, during the night, I put on some sealant, and during the night, someone took it off, and now we're left without any sealant.
So the problem is solved quickly. He forgot to put on the gasket paste. Mistakes happen. We don't care, especially if it's a mistake that doesn't cost a single euro.
You're filming? You're going to put me on YouTube? No, we're going to make you some soup.
I'm so happy, man, that it's just that, oh yeah, I'm relieved.
Also, when taking it apart, I told you, you see, there are lines made for that and everything. I'm sure you can see it in the video. We're going to put some sealant back on. There's a path for the sealant here. You have to make 2 lines of sealant. You have to follow that.
So, a little sealant to put back on.
I'm replacing the cover, but I think Peter installed the first bearing.
Yeah, okay. I took care of the turbo side. I didn't want to touch the shafts.
He's defending himself on YouTube. He's trying to defend himself.
Everything was filmed. No, but honestly, it's not a big deal. But I'm relieved that it's just that, damn.
We need to come back to it.
All right, it's good. Normally, Saturday should still be on. Go get the small torque wrench.
From the back of the drawer.
He's definitely an intern.
The little guy from the north is having a great time.
The seal's in place, that's good. Oh, not using the impact wrench this time.
Usually we use the impact wrench, but for filming we're using the torque wrench.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing clack, clack, clack.
Everything tightened all the way. One of them is stripped.
Even.
I stripped one with the impact wrench over there, slightly angled.
Oh, that's what you say, yeah. So that it fits exactly.
A little sandpaper all around and we're good.
We arrived at Tabato's place, and no.
No, I'm not there, me. Yes.
Yeah, he's the one coming to criticize my engine. Go ahead, I'll show you if you want. Come on, shit on me.
It's in Scheiße, it's already written. Yeah, it's fine. If we speak German, that's what you did this morning, right?
Overall, it's fine. Just a couple of things to review.
He changed it, put on a turbo.
Well, some hoses here and there, you know. Well, I tried to do my best. Actually, what I'm not a huge fan of is, for example, you see this kind of hose that connects to the original system and then switches to dash fittings. I'll redo those later and use dash fittings from here to there.
Were you talking to me? About what? That's not the end of the world. What? I thought it would be worse.
The hose that Charles mentioned?
No, but what you're telling me, I don't know what, you know? You're talking about pipes and all that.
It's the solenoid hoses that I don't like. Yeah, because I used hoses. Well, I used air hose, I used fuel hose.
Ah, but that's serious. It's just that it's a bit thick, you know? We're going to have a hose like this. Just an AliExpress silicone one. That's what goes through. Ah.
No, that's funny.
You've got your valve. What's that about?
That's an aftermarket idle valve I bought in the United States.
You leave that out in the open?
They say to either leave it out in the open or use the original system by putting it in the turbo intake pipe. But I'm not a fan.
What? They put it here or there? No.
There.
So when you accelerate, your valve closes.
Totally.
Are you sure?
All right, you can hear it more because it really screams.
It screams when you're under vacuum, but when you're under pressure, she doesn't make the same noise anymore.
Active 2025, that's out. Electronic throttle body. I'm now blocking the hole with a plate. I can't deal with this valve anymore. It's a real pain.
No, but all the valves already have a little something.
But here, we can't adjust it. It's a real pain in the ass. Sometimes when you're in the city and you disengage, it makes a loud noise. It drops back down. It's a nightmare.
And what about you? Are you running full ethanol now? Yeah. Don't you have any ethanol fuel?
We were supposed to install a flex fuel sensor, but why didn't we do it? We just haven't had the time yet, that's all. No, actually, it's just that I don't really see the point.
Adding the flex fuel sensor now will affect your calculations.
No, but honestly, I don't see why I'd install one to run on 98 octane fuel.
I see the point, I do.
Compared to what?
Dude, when you go from 60% ethanol compared to 73, yes.
That's why you wanted to install it, that's true. That was the reason, but I think 98, we're going to do it 15 times, yeah. Every time you change something. That's true, you wanted us to add it. We'll do it, it's really easy. Don't look at the tool, that's patented. I closed the office for that. Normally, I don't show it to anyone. Shredder at 3,000 per hour, that's patented. Well, now the car's on the dyno. Once again, it's still on the ground. He's just tying it down with good chains to make sure nothing happens. Good news, we've reactivated the VVTI sensor. Actually, I didn't have the info in the map. Charles just tweaked the tune map a bit this morning. We were going to do a test. I was complaining that actually, before the turbo, there was no power. The car was really sluggish, clearly until the turbo kicked in. Now I'm back to how it was with 330 horsepower. The car feels strong at low revs, then the turbo kicks in. I think this will totally change how the car behaves, since I now have much more power before the turbo activates. We'll see about that. We'll put it on the dyno just as it is now, just as we mapped it without the dyno. We'll see how it turns out. And after that, I won't say anything more. I'll kiss in the car and keep it safe. Relax, Charlin. Like always, anyway. All right, see you in a bit. I'm happy because today, everyone is here. And there's that tall guy over there.
Yes, that's me.
The seat is adjustable. Forget it. Make yourself comfortable, my boy. Yeah, well, this is fast. Go on, my dear, go on.
Luckily, he's not as long as he is dumb, or he'd be extremely dumb.
Okay, now they're going to do a first run with boost at 0. That means with the wastegate spring, so 1 bar. .475 horsepower without touching the solenoid. So at wastegate pressure, peaking at 1.2 bar. And there's no baseline. 475 horsepower, I think reaching the 500 goal will happen soon. Just push it a little on the dyno and you'll hit 500. Yeah, but no, 600, that's crap. Ah, damn, not at all. Look at him.
600 horsepower.
So for you, what does that do?
You're definitely a YouTuber.
600 horsepower, that's still scary.
You've got the power up there.
You're not risking anything. So what does that mean? That I only get the 600 at the end, actually?
Right, she brings the cable up there. That's what I meant.
Yeah, you told me that. You shouldn't give it 600 horsepower, though. 475 at 1 bar. Right now, both of them are doing something. Either that's a good sign or it's a really bad one. I feel like it's a really bad sign. 477 newtons, we're good. It's 650.
Clutch in the block's limit.
650 as well. I think it's, around 650 or 700.
Burning out the clutch.
It's not a big deal. No, but that's what it's there for anyway.
Okay, well, we'll see. But anyway, one thing's for sure. We're never going to push it to 1.4 bar at 4,500 RPM. That's when it reaches 700 newtons, you see.
Of course.
So we'll gently let his boost kick in depending on the RPM. And we part ways as good friends.
The issue is we don't know how much horsepower he's making. Because Teddy says 700, I say 600 would be good. And Charles says it's more like 500, 550. They've adjusted the timing now. I'm not sure if they've adjusted the pressure, but they'll do another pull. We'll see how much it makes. Same, for now it hasn't changed. 475. $480 for now. He still hasn't put all the timing back in Teddy mentioned, Charles. He still hasn't adjusted the boost. We're just on wastegate spring pressure for now. I can't tell you if it's a good or a bad thing that Teddy is with Charles in the car. I don't know if it's the best thing that could happen to me or the worst. I think it could be good because Teddy's teaching Charles a lot about the JZ, having mapped many of them. So Charles then adopts what Teddy tells him, but with Charles's own sense of safety. That's what I like too. I'm still waiting. We're not at 500 yet, but I think we'll hit a milestone once they add some boost. $494, we're really not far from 500, just need to add some boost.
He doesn't take responsibility. He doesn't see anything. We'll call him Rene. That's Rene the Mole. He's tall and can't see, which is riskier than a short guy who can't see. You can't tell his forehead has receded like mine from getting hit so much. His hair, it's like a team now. When he goes to the barber, it's half price.
Come on, come on, come on.
Come on, come on.
We'll place one of 3 and add a degree to it.
But add another degree at this pressure, you'll see it'll be good.
We're still increasing pressure, and that's the tricky part.
We add a bit of timing.
We add a bit of timing. I want to apply the pressure first.
You want to do the position? Yeah.
How much pressure are we at?
That can mess you up.
Because it's kind of my ride. It's +2. 1 plus 2, 1.2, yes.
1/2, nice.
But him over 3, angry then.
We'll put a degree on it like that, diplomatically.
But everywhere.
We're good. Not on everything, not on everything.
Not at everything, everywhere.
We start everywhere.
Well, everywhere. Without KPA all the way down.
All the way down. Come on, let's shoot like this. Afterwards we'll finish, we'll see.
There you go.
Come on, ladies and gentlemen.
One more. What did he change there, basically? The ignition, 2.5 bars. So 1.5 bars. And it's starting to become contagious too. You know it's contagious, right? That's it? That's what I see, that's it. You're tough, stupid people. That's nothing new. You put a fuel pump for a little drop. She's posted. She's posted? You'd need a bigger one? It's true that we lose pressure at high RPM. Alright, do you want me to take a look? If you can. Sure, but it'll help me pass the time. And that's a backfire. Because now, as you can see, the pressure is dropping. We're forced to open the injectors way more than we used to. So what do we do now? Are you going to let me go again so I can drive at least? Anyway, the problem is that we're losing fuel at the top. And at the top, it's at 1 bar 2. At the top, there's nothing we can do. Go down. Since earlier, it's only been at 1 bar 2 at the top. 1 bar 2 of pressure? Yes. What we've gained is the ignition, actually. Alright, okay. So, we can't have less pressure up there. Alright. Because it was running way too rich up there. She put in crappy parts. It's hitting the rev limiter. But it's at 6,500 for now. First, the pressure will drop slightly less. Because it can't maintain 3.5 bar of pressure all the way to the top. It doesn't have 3.5 bar, it's 0.5 bar that it needs to hold. No, but you see.
528 horsepower. No, I'm not satisfied. It's a great number and I'm glad I reached that power, but I couldn't show my excitement. Right after, I was disappointed with the fuel pump. Let me explain what happened. The 450 fuel pump, so I don't remember if it's a 450 or a 460. I'm getting a bit mixed up. It was supposed to be good, but unfortunately, it's not good. It doesn't deliver enough power at high RPMs. It can't maintain the correct pressure required by Charles. So Teddy told me, you're going to replace it. He told me, you have 2 options. Either you add a 460 or a 450, and so you do a pump setup, but internally in the tank. That would have forced me to buy a part that costs $600. not counting import fees and shipping costs. So, it's a pain. Or, he told me, you can start by removing it and trying with a 550. So, 100 liters per hour, more than my current one. That's what I chose. He said if you use this pump, you'll need to make an external wiring harness. That means you shouldn't reconnect it to the chaser's wiring harness, because according to Teddy, it can melt the harness since it draws so much power. So, I bought a dedicated harness. You'll see. That's exactly what I'm going to show you now. For this famous fuel pump. And when Teddy said I bought a crappy pump, don't worry, it wasn't some cheap Chinese pump from AliExpress or anything. It was a Walbro. And actually, I got another Walbro. He says crappy pump because they're not as powerful as what he would have put in from the start, for example. Well, you know Teddy. He would have put in a 2,000 liter per hour pump. At least that would have settled it. No, but he's right, actually. He's right. Because the GZ, as we found out later, is extremely demanding when it comes to fuel. So you really have to give it a ton of fuel. Let's hope that with the 550 it'll work. Well, back to square one. Back home. All right, I just received the new wiring harness. The new fuel pump and wiring harness are here on the floor. I was here because I was reading up on the relay at my computer. Because I've never installed this kind of thing before. And so, the relay I didn't know. I didn't really know how to install it. So it's fine. I called Anthony. I checked the relay's manual online. I know what goes where, so...
I'm starting the work at home because I'm supposed to do that on Thursday.
So in 2 days. So I'm going to get a head start at home. I'll move the Yukon, I'll put the car in front of the garage, and I'll try to get as much done as possible. Well, I'm happy. I've done 50% of the thing I didn't want to do. So that's good. I've connected the wiring harness here for the fuel pump. Here, there's the fuse. Here, I put a little resistor. It goes behind my power steering reservoir. I'm going to finish putting everything here. And it goes down inside the cable pass-through where all the other cables already are. So, that's good. Now, if I go here, you can see all that's left is to run it under the carpet. There we go. I like it like this. I've unclipped everything. I ran the wiring harness inside, which goes through there and comes out by the carpet here. Now I'm putting everything in place. Perfect, the wiring harness here. OEM next to the other harness. So, I'm happy about this because it won't be visible at all. All right, the car's harness is done. Now, I just have to wait until Thursday to remove the pump system and connect the new car. So for now, I've already saved myself a good hour of work. Let's head to GMT. That's it, the car's on the lift. So here's today's mission. Oh yeah, that. All right, now you can make fun of me. Well, to err is human, it happens to everyone. The fuel filter, let's just say that when we left Tuboto, we didn't really talk about it because the cameras and equipment were all packed away. I don't remember who, but someone there asked me, "What kind of fuel filter did you use?" At that moment, I had a rush of adrenaline, and I realized that since I've had the car, which has been almost 1.5 years now, I've never changed the fuel filter. When I say never, I mean I've never changed it. I think it might even be the car's original filter, which now has over 200,000 kilometers. And remember, we're running it on ethanol now. And when you run your car on ethanol, it cleans everything out and sends it all into the fuel filter. So actually, it's possible that my pump was enough, and that everything was restricted because of the filter. The problem is, we'll never know because you'll see that I changed the filter and the pump at the same time. Go ahead, I know I haven't changed it since getting the car. Except that this here, to unscrew it, good luck. It's a real pain. I'm also taking the opportunity to do something else. I'm draining all the coolant because we realized there was a radiator hose that was a bit porous. Not in great shape. Well, that's it, I just received it, brand new from Toyota. So I'm going to replace it. And I also received something else that we'll have to change at some point. I really have them. Oh no, they're right here. There you go. The famous camshaft oil seal. Toyota this time. I'll leave them there for now. We'll handle them later. Sorry I didn't film it, but Thibaut unscrewed it for me. I used a 14mm wrench to apply pressure, while he was giving it a little tap from behind with the chisel that's on the ground. And you were saying, what was your tool?
The open-end slugging wrench.
Open-end slugging wrench. The goal here is to set it up properly for him. Yeah, I admit it's yellow. That must be it.
That's the crap that has to go through there. Wow.
At any moment, it's disgusting.
Filter inlet. Yes, your filter. It gets clogged in this direction, whether it's dirty. We'll check that. We'll let him listen.
Let's open the filter anyway.
After. Yeah, bring it to the cap.
It's good, but here.
He's patiently waiting with his little box. Just look at him. Look at that. Oh, but that's disgusting. It's rotten. See, there you go. Hold this, Gwen. Hold this, Gwen.
That gas looks creepy. No wonder the car's struggling. I don't want to film this. Changing the fuel pump, you know the drill. So, I'll just move you into the light. That's it, my entire wiring harness is finished. I also have the relay with the new pump harness. I soldered the connector that triggers the relay to power the pump. So, the new one is here. I secured it with zip ties. I also took the opportunity to redo all the internal wiring and simplify it. There was some kind of capacitor relay inside. I removed it. Now I ran everything directly, with much simpler wiring. So now I'm going to route the cables somewhere. I'm not sure where yet. I'm going to connect the ground to my main harness. I'll put everything back in the tank and turn the key. We'll see if it works normally. Actually, I could put it there now. No, I'll do the test right now. Successful test. Fuel harness is done. I made a little cable pass through here to let the cables out. I'll route them properly when I put the seat back in. The fuel filter has just been changed. It's done, I just did it off camera. Here it is. And I think in a few minutes, I'll open it so we can see what the inside looks like. Because, to be honest, as far as I can tell, it's the car's original filter. It's got 200,000 kilometers on it. I'm gonna do one last thing. This is the fuel pressure regulator right here. I have a little gauge here that shows me the fuel pressure. I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna take it off because I bought something much simpler so that actually we can manage, or at least monitor, the fuel pressure from the computer when we're in the car. I'm just gonna put in a sensor. That way, at least, first of all, we'll be able to see the fuel pressure while we're driving, without having to set up a camera or be on the bench to look at the gauge here. And most importantly, Charles will be able to set up a safety for me. If my fuel pressure drops, he'll shut off the car for me to protect my engine. So I'll remove this gauge, install the sensor, and then open the filter.
Then that idiot will say, but there are metal shavings in my fuel filter?
But that's normal.
Even though he just messed up, really messed up. There you go, look at that rust and everything.
Oh, look at that. That's disgusting.
The filter, when you buy a car, you change all the fluids and the filters.
But I don't know why I never did.
He never changed his fuel filter. It's a shame, right here on television. It's a shame. Now, everyone in the comments below the video, shame on you, Peter. Seriously, everyone in the comments. Shame on you, Peter. That's all I want.
But it's supposed to be white, right? We agree, huh? Wow, yeah.
Dishwasher. You see, Sensor Coffee is the same. Sensor Coffee.
That's it. Charles is here. The pressure sensor is now connected. Charles came to make the little wiring harness you see here for me. So, it's connected. We set the pressure, we tested again. Now we had really precise information. Since I changed the filter and the pump, we were at just over 5 bar. We can see a clear improvement. Pressure is down to 4 bar and he's finishing the final adjustments. And then, we're going to go back and make a few adjustments to adapt to the new fuel pressure, the new pump, and everything else so that, potentially by the end of this video, I can take you to Castellet to do some more drifting. Well, the new pump and especially the new filter really did it some good. But it seems pretty good anyway. In any case, I think yes, it definitely didn't do it any harm. The old filter was really in terrible shape. You saw it. So now the mission is to finish mapping it, let's say, now with the power it put out on the dyno. That way, at least on Saturday, I can go to my little drift event. And at the end of the video, I'll show you some settings and a few drift runs on the track with the 500 horsepower, compared to the last time when we went there with 330. We're back from the afternoon of mapping. I'm bummed the VVTi solenoid just gave out on me. And as a result, it makes the car completely undrivable. Actually, we had doubts because it was sputtering a lot. It was getting flooded with fuel. We didn't understand where it was coming from. I'll catch up with you at home and explain it to you in more detail. Well, now I don't know what to think anymore. I mean, every time I manage to fix what's wrong, there's always something else that goes wrong right after. It's really starting to get on my nerves. Basically, we mapped the car all afternoon. And there were times when, while it was idling, it had an idle at 100 RPM, and you could feel it was getting totally flooded with fuel. We didn't understand where it was coming from. There were times when we did some runs, the map was perfect. And there were times when we did runs, the car was running super rich. We didn't get it. And after a while, Charles actually dug into the link and saw that when we asked the camshaft to be at 0 degrees, it was at 60. And we did a test, meaning we were at idle 0 degrees. The car had a perfect idle. He tells me, give it some gas, I give it some gas, and it goes up to 60 degrees. And normally it's supposed to go right back down to 0. And the problem was that the car actually stayed at 60 when I let off the gas for at least 5 minutes. Took 5 minutes to return to its camshaft position at 0 degrees, which was bad. As a result, it flooded with fuel and nothing worked. So, as a result, I concluded that the camshaft control was potentially faulty. So, the VVTi control solenoid. Now it really feels like a curse. Maybe I should stop hanging out with Nico since it's rubbing off. It's getting tough mentally. So, I know that in the previous video, a lot of people complained that I looked grumpy, that I was complaining, or whatever. But at some point, you have to put things into context. I mean, I've invested a lot of money, almost everything I have, into this car. And every time I get close to the goal, something always goes wrong. Yeah, I know, that's how car builds are and all. But I would have preferred if things went wrong from the start. Right now, we're really this close. Every time I say, that's it, it's good, I'm finally going to be able to enjoy my ultimate dream, drive my chaser. And then something's wrong. It's unbelievable. And you'll see it's not over yet. Knowing that I'm driving in 2 days, I had to find a VVTi solenoid for a 1JZ engine in 2 days. Let's just say I moved heaven and earth. It's the next day. I called Anthony and our guys. I was at a port last night. And I told them, guys, do you have a 1JZ, a 2JZ or something? And a solenoid to help me out. They told me, well, yeah, we have Benjamin's crown. Let's call him. Benjamin, thank you. So Benjamin, with his crown, kindly agreed, since it's in the process of being certified, since it's at his place for a little while, to lend me his VVTi solenoid, which was also replaced a few years ago, by the way. It's a part that breaks down, so after a while I can't really blame it. My part is 25 years old, so I'm going to get his, hoping that it works well on my car and that that's the issue. I ordered a new one for him to be delivered to the garage for installation. I also got one for myself, but I'll replace it after tuning is done. So I'm taking you back to GTA 1 port for a little bit of mechanical work, and maybe to save my Saturday, we've arrived at GTA 1 port. So this is going to be pretty funny because the car I'm using is a Toyota Crown that's parked here, and right behind it there's a Toyota Chaser. So thanks again, Benjamin, for lending me your solenoid, really. That's very kind of you. I'll take good care of it and I'll take this apart carefully. We're just going to move the Chaser forward a bit, because otherwise my big butt won't fit through. But also, look at this crown, just for your information. I had this car as a station wagon. Wow, it's so luxurious, like an S-Class. Just look at it. That little steering wheel, just for fun, I wouldn't say no to having it in my Chaser. It's an S-Class, this thing. It's such a great car. I had it as a station wagon and I loved it. Sunroof too, that's nice. All right, let's go. So, first of all, the connector's broken. He did tell me that the solenoid had already been replaced. I think that the mechanic who replaced it before probably broke it. Well, it doesn't really matter, because once it's pushed in, it's in, but the connector doesn't have any clips anymore. The operation is going to be simple. We need to remove the throttle body, so we can move it slightly, take off the entire engine cover, and take out the solenoid, because otherwise it's going to get stuck against it. After that, I'm done, I go home, and by week's end, he gets his new solenoid. It's funny, I think this one has more room than mine. But I just realized it's a 1JZ from a JZX110. He doesn't have the idle valve, look. Well, yes, ETCSI. Maybe I won't need to remove the throttle body. We'll see. Thank you, goodbye, have a good weekend. There we go. There we go. No need to remove the throttle body. The engine in the 110 is still cooler, let's be honest. Well, there you go. This is potentially the part that's giving me trouble on my car. Okay, I'll take it, put the cover on, and we'll return to JMT. Here we are back at JMT in front of the Chaser, and now we can install the new solenoid. Here you can clearly see it's a different situation because when I take it out, this gets in my way, which wasn't there before. So I'll have to remove my throttle body, move it aside, take out the solenoid, and replace it. I hope it worked. There wasn't that on the Crown earlier. It's not like that. It's not exactly like that. By the way, I noticed something. Quite a few of you were confused about the fact that I no longer have my carbon cover. I'm surprised that so many people are confused about this and ask me, sorry, I'm losing my voice, why I took it off. For the simple reason that actually I don't know why. but the varnish that was supposed to withstand the heat from the turbo, and even the engine heat, before I even installed the big turbo, it had already started to turn white. And I don't know, it started to take on a weird shape and everything. I didn't like it, so I removed it and put the original black cover back on, which I had redone. Now it's much nicer than the carbon one, given its condition, and I think I'll put it back on later on. But right now, no, it's not my priority. I just wanted it to look good. That's why I put this one back on. This little pulley, right here, every time. All right, let's keep going. Now it's boosted. Now, 10mm wrench. There we go. Ah, there it is. That's it. Benjamin's was already changed a few years ago. So we can see clearly. Ah, but actually it's not even the same one. Oh yeah, right. His is the new part number. Okay, no, it's fine. It's fine. His is the new part number. Then they released a new part number for the solenoid. And, well, of course, he has the new one since he has the new engine. All right, I'll put everything back together and call Charles. I'll explain what happened again. I called Charles. I'm laughing, but it's just nerves. So I called Charles so we could remap the car. And that's what we did. Except, listen closely. We started doing some runs. The car runs, and honestly, it's just incredible. It's never run this well before. We do a run in third gear, we do a run in fourth, and then, after that, we stabilize the car's speed at 2,000 RPM in sixth gear. And when I wanted to accelerate again, I couldn't. The car was cutting out like that, so I thought, what's going on? Charles told me, safety mode activated. Okay, and what was the safety feature that activated to alert me? Oil pressure safety. When we did the run in third and fourth, it was perfect, no issues. And when we stabilized again at 2,000 RPM afterwards, I had 0.6 bar of oil pressure. After that, we shut everything down, stopped quickly, and left the car where it was. I don't know what happened. I don't understand. Really, at this point, as far as lubrication goes, everything should have been fine. So I don't understand what happened. After that, we went to get the car with a trailer, and we brought the car back to the garage. At first, I thought the oil pressure sensor was faulty. But unfortunately, I actually swapped the pressure sensors between the fuel and the oil to check again on the dashboard if there was a problem. Unfortunately, with the oil sensor in place of the fuel sensor, it was showing the correct fuel pressure. And the fuel sensor in place of the oil sensor was still showing extremely low oil pressure. So it wasn't coming from the sensor. I don't know what condition my engine will be in. I don't know what happened inside. I admit that it's still pretty tough mentally. So I'll say it again. When you see me a bit down sometimes, I have my reasons. It's not easy mentally. Really, I'm not here to make you feel sorry for me. On the contrary, I'm just here to explain to you that, once again, I was this close to being able to live my dream. The next day, I was supposed to be on the track, spending a day with friends, having fun, enjoying what was probably going to be the best drifting day of my life. Since I finally had my dream. Chaser, big turbo, over 500 horsepower, my friends, good weather, and most importantly, a dry track. Except no, there was another problem, so it's okay now. It's been a few days since it happened, so, well, the car's still not running, but I've recovered. But I admit that at the time, actually, I didn't really realize when it happened, but it was when I swapped the sensor and then I was sure there was a major lubrication problem and a serious issue in the engine. That's when it really hit me. Mentally, it hit me hard. I really wasn't feeling well for 2 days. Now it's over, I'm positive. That's the most important thing in life. Health, for example, is already much more important than a mechanical problem. But I admit, mentally it was tough. So I apologize to those who say I'm negative or anything like that in my previous videos, but I've been through a lot to get this build ready. Right now, the Chaser is stored at JMT at Thibaut's place. I haven't touched it since. I'm experiencing a mental block and haven't worked on it lately. We'll return to it in a few days. Don't worry, I'm not giving up on the project. That's not how I operate, especially since it's my dream, so I'm not going to stop now. So we'll get back to it in a few days with Thibaut, and we'll look into the issue to figure out where it might have come from and start ordering the parts we need to fix it. It might seem illogical in terms of budget management, but for anyone who doesn't get it, I really allocate a specific budget to each of my cars. And what helped me handle it better is that I had a car lying around at home, from which I was supposed to take the engine and put it into another one. And I thought about it and said to myself, wouldn't it be more cost-effective to take this car and make it a secondary drift car, precisely for when problems like this happen, so I can keep going and continue with the events that were planned. Because right now, everything is falling apart, obviously, and that's what I chose to do. So, this video is the last video of the Chaser for a while. I don't want to say for a long time, but for a while that's it, because I'm going to take this car and quickly turn it into a secondary drift car. Without it costing me a lot of money, I'm going to sell some of its parts to finance the parts I need to turn it into a drift car. That way, I'll be able to keep participating in my drift events and not cancel everything like I did on Saturday. So the next videos will be about a new project. But don't worry, I'll say it again, the Chaser isn't being abandoned, but you won't see it right away, let's say. In any case, thank you again 1,000 times for your support. Thanks in advance for your supportive comments. Except for shame on you, Peter, but that's fine. I'll keep you updated. Follow me on Instagram to keep up with my daily life. It might matter more than my YouTube videos, because the YouTube videos are actually a summary of my weeks of work. And if you want to see more every day, follow me on Instagram, and you'll see all my stories. It will complement the YouTube videos. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel as well. And so, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.